everywhere, GBS.
A very good evening and thank you for joining GBS News at 9. My name is Susan Nganga and with me tonight is our sign language interpreter Francis Okenyi. Let's begin. President William Ruto today hosted a high-profile international investment conference at the Kenyatta International Convention Center, bringing together global investors, business leaders and government officials in a major push to position Kenya as a prime investment destination. During the summit, the country secured investment commitments worth 322 billion shillings across key sectors, marking a significant boost to its economic agenda. The conference underscored growing international confidence in Kenya's stability and business environment with the government, highlighting ongoing reforms and strategic partnership aimed at attracting foreign capital, creating jobs and accelerating sustainable development.
We have secured a $150 million investment from UAE's Aquilaster in electric and hybrid vehicle manufacturing in Nakuru County. We have many more such examples, and it is for this reason that today we are unveiling more than $2.5 billion in 20 investment deals across agriculture, manufacturing, ICT, business process outsourcing, healthcare, energy, and real estate.
Over the last 15 years, we've been able to develop these projects across 18 locations in 18 countries in Africa. But I want to specifically mention that our investment in Kenya is going to be by far the largest investment that we have done so far in the history of our company. So thank you very much, Your Excellency, for the opportunity. We are developing 3 special economic zones to begin with, and 4,500 acres of industrial land that is going to be provided for enabling manufacturing and developing the logistics and trade framework within the East African continent. And we stand proud that over the next 3 years, we will be investing as a company over $3 billion in Kenya, only to enable the growth for the economic value that we are going to unlock as a business.
In line with the theme of the conference, unlocking investment opportunities to drive Kenya's transformation, our missions across the globe continue to showcase Kenya's attractiveness as the preferred investment destination. We invite investors and business community to engage our missions abroad to access timely and comprehensive investment information.
We've seen the transformation from Kenya Investment Authority to invest in Kenya as public sector. It's not just that video. Your Excellency, I know you are the front person on investment in Kenya, but I think Invest in Kenya team with the ministry has done an amazing job. I can confirm, Your Excellency, that we actually, it used to be one-stop shop, but we are seeing one shop. And why do I say one-stop shop? It just used to end there, but we can see deals as bankers, and we are converting deals, Your Excellency. So thank you so much for the transformation that has happened in that.
And now to matters Raphael Tuju. Kibra Law Court Magistrate Stella Atambo has ruled that the case involving a former Cabinet Secretary Raphael Tuju will proceed in a decision that clears the way for the continuation of the legal proceedings that had faced delays and congestion. The court directed that the matter will be mentioned again in 2 weeks, setting the stage for further arguments and possible determination on key issues raised by both the defense and the prosecution, as scrutiny intensified around the high-profile case.
The bail in place does not stop the subject from taking plea and or from appearing before this court. In fact, to the contrary, if we look at it from the lens of the defense, It is a security for him to attend court. Even if we just put aside the aspect of him being a public figure. So the same does not stop in any way the process before this court, because that is totally different from the application or from the order that has been made at the High Court. So I have considered and taken into account the concern raised by the prosecution on the anticipatory bail granted by the High Court and the response by the defense to the same. And I will not go into detail on that subject, on the merits and or demerits of the anticipatory bail in place, because these were orders that were granted by my senior, that is a judge of the High Court. I will not get into the merits or demerits, but all of us as advocates understand what anticipatory bail stands for. As at yesterday, the record before this court reflects that the accused, the subject, was under arrest and in the custody of the police. That is knowledge that is within this court's purview. And remember, this court has not had the benefit of seeing the application that was made for that anticipatory bail and what was explained.
And now to matters health. Doctors today converged in Kirinyaga County and together with tuberculosis champions and survivors where they rallied to create awareness on TB disease as it continues to affect many in and around the country. Let's have a look.
TB champion Charity Wanjiru encourages that normal coughs are nowadays not so normal and that we should always get checked out for the tuberculosis disease.
Nimekuwa nikifanya kazi ya TB as a linkage assistant hapo Dhiba Health Center. Nimekuwa nikipatana na wagonjwa wengi sana wa TB. Hapo tumekuwa na cases mingi. Nikiwapata wakifanywa TrueNat ama X-ray, kwanza huwa nawapea health talk na waambia I was a culprit na nilimaliza ndawa na nikakuwa sawa. Nisingekuwa nimeenda hapo Dhiba singepatikana. So kupatikana TB mapema, treatment inaanza mapema. Hautakuwa na challenges mingi ama kupata mashinda mingi ya mwili. Naweza waambia mtu akikuwa na any cough, siku hizi hatuangalii ni cough ya duration gani. Wewe unaenda hospitali, unapimiwa TB.
Dr. George Karoki encouraged that people counter TB by attending to medication early, since when detected late, it becomes costly and fatal.
We are still missing cases in the communities. Too many people, especially men, are coming to hospital late. And when TB is detected late, it spreads further, costs more to treat, and it claims more lives. That must change, and it must change now.
Dr. Karoki also encouraged health workers to always test TB, diagnose and detect it early when symptoms show, then urged the provision of awareness, knowledge and proper education on the disease.
That to our healthcare workers, always think TB, test early, treat to completion. To our community health promoters, whom we have here today, you are our front line in this particular battle. Find the cases, follow up the patients, educate the households in our communities.
Dr. Franklin Mwenda also explained how the TB moves inside the body and through different organs.
Kitu ile ningetaka pia watu waelewe ni kwamba TB huwa ina affect kila sehemu ya mwili. It affect all parts of the body except the ear, the nails and the teeth. And they share one characteristics, they are not living. Those are cuticles. So TB inapenda mahali kuko live. So sana sana watu wanaulizanga mtu ukipumua inaenda kwa kifua, utaipata aje kwa sehemu zingine za mwili? Hapo ndio ninataka kuelezea. Wakati TB inaingia kwa kifua, inatengenezanga a reaction, inatengeneza like a boil. So unapata they are multiplying within that lung. Inazaana hapo, inazaana, saa zingine inatoboa. Ikitoboa ndio unaonanga wengine wanakohoa damu, wengine wanakohoa uzaa. wakati anakohoa kuna zile bakteria zinaingianga kwa tumishipa ile tunaitanga veins, mishipa kidogo inaanza kutembea na damu. Kwa madaktari tunasemanga blood stream. Ikianza kutembea hiyo kwa mwili, mahali popote damu inaingia, TB inaweza kukupata. Utapata ingine imeingia hapa kwa shingo, unapata mtu amepata zile lymph nodes. Unapata zile lymph nodes zimeanza kufura sana sana kwa watoto, unapata inaitwa cervical tuberculosis. Ile TB inaweza enea kila sehemu ya mwili. Unaweza stukia TB iko kwa mgongo. Unasikia mtu akiambiwa ako na TB of the spine. Sana sana hiyo unaweza pata ni TB mbaya sana, sababu ikikula hiyo mipupa ya cervical vertebra inaweza kucollapse na hata mtu anaweza kupata ile paralysis ama mtu anakufa chini, sababu imetembea na damu ikasimama hapo kwa hiyo mpupa. Inaanza kuzaana hapo na hapo unapata TB of the bone. TB inaweza kutembea usikie mtu amepata TB of the kidney. TB inaweza kutembea upate mtu amepata ile tunaita genital tuberculosis.
As we consider other health deficiencies, experts suggest that we also open an eye to possibility of a TB contraction. Reporting for GBS TV, I'm Baraka Gitonga.
And still on matters health, public healthcare services in Laikipia County have come to a standstill following a massive strike by 5 health workers union, leaving hospitals eerily quiet and patients in distress. At Nyanyuki Referral Hospital, the situation is particularly dire, with patients being discharged prematurely and others forced to seek costly treatment in private facilities. Patients report worsening conditions due to a lack of care, with some pleading for urgent government intervention as their health deteriorates rather.
Tumekuja hapa hospitali kutibiwa, tumekuta nasi wamegoma. Kuna shida haki, kuna shida. Juu sasa saa hii kama mimi naosha after 3 days, leo nilikuwa nimekuja hata kinonda inanuka. Nikakuta nasi hakuna. Tukiomba mheshimiwa tu uangalie hawa watu ni wa maana katika Nanyuki.
Hata wamama wengine wako huko ndani, hata wengine wanahana fedha, sasa wanashindwa watafanya nini. Sasa tutasaidiana namna gani bwana gavana? Na bibi yangu ni mmoja huko dialysis, na huko ndio nimetoka saa hii, hata nikushangaa. Nashindwa nimpeleke wapi, pesa sina, na hii maneno nitafanya nini?
Hii ndio hospitali tunayoitegemea saa hizi na inahudumia watu wengi sana. Kwa hiyo saa hizi kuna wagonjwa ambao wanapitia hali ngumu, kama wagonjwa wa renal unit ambao wanaoshwa damu kila siku wanapitia hali ngumu sana. Kuna wagonjwa wengine wa NBU ambao wanahitaji kuangaliwa kwa makini sana. Watoto wako kwa NBU wanahitaji huduma ya kuangaliwa kwa zaidi ya sana. Tunaomba tafadhali governor usikize kilio cha watu wa
A growing fuel crisis is unfolding across the country, with reports of shortages at several petrol stations, leaving motorists scrambling for supply as uncertainty grips the sector. But what is the real situation? Is there a genuine shortage, or are some dealers withholding fuel and cooler price spike be looming? Jeff Sabuki has more on this.
Across the country, many petrol stations are running dry, turning away frustrated motorists instead of serving them. At this station, drivers are forced to leave without refueling, with some opening their tanks only to be met with abrupt closure by attendants. The cause of the shortage remains unclear, but speculation is mounting that some dealers could be hoarding fuel. At stations that still have supply, long queues have formed as anxious drivers rush to fill up, fearing tougher days ahead. Motorists say the crisis is already taking at all.
Mafuta imekuwa challenge kwetu. Petrol station ukiingia unaambiwa hakuna, ukiingia ingine unaambiwa hakuna, so we are wondering hii mambo itaendelea hivyo mpaka lini. But I'm hoping the government will sort out.
So hii 500 napiga hesabu ya trip kama 2 ama 3 kama ni fupi. So nikishamaliza trip kama 3 zangu hesabu zangu ya 500, alafu niingie kwa the next petrol station nipate hakuna. Unajua sasa inanifanya nimeanza kuwa na wasiwasi.
Drivers are now demanding answers from the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, warning that a prolonged shortage could deal a heavy blow to the economy.
Sidhani vile mafuta inaweza kuwa tu imekosekana just all of a sudden. Na tunajua mafuta iko, so ni watutolee mafuta tuweze kusukuma nchi.
As motorists move from one petrol station to another in search of fuel, Kiharu Member of Parliament Ndindi Nyoro has placed the blame squarely on the government, warning that any price increase will only deepen the burden on Kenyans. Nyoro is now calling on the government to step in and caution citizens from the impact.
And the sooner they do it, the better. Because Kenyans will force you to receipt the 7 shillings fuel levy. Kenyans will force you soon to receipt the 8% additional VAT that was introduced. Kenyans cannot shoulder the fuel price disruptions on their own.
Nyoro insists that Kenya's fuel prices is ranking high in the region as a result of taxation by government, making the fuel prices twice expensive at the pump.
It is a crisis that will affect our economy, and it is very disappointing to see that leaders are prioritizing doing politics and sending photos of crowds to soothe their egos when there is a critical issue that needs to be sorted.
Meanwhile, EPRA says any dealer found hoarding fuel will face stiff penalties, including license revocation. This is Jeff Obuki, GBS TV News, Nairobi.
Elgeyo Marakwet County is facing a growing safety concerns as residents of Sagin village in Kokowa location are urged to relocate due to the potential of a disaster from landslide. Deep cracks have appeared on higher ground, raising fears that continued heavy rainfall could trigger disaster, especially for at least 11 families living downhill. Local leaders and environmental officials have warned that the situation is unprecedented, with elders expressing alarm over the severity of the cracks. Authorities are now calling for immediate evacuation to safer areas while appealing to nearby communities to offer temporary shelter as long-term solutions are being explored, with rains expected to persist until mid-April.
The magnitude ya hii disaster inaweza kuwa hatujawahi kupata mkasa kama huu wakati mwingine, lakini hii ni wa kwanza, na tunatabiria kwamba ikiendelea namna hii pengine italeta madhara.
So after ascertaining, we advise the people to move to safer grounds, and we request the neighboring communities here to help those people who are likely to be affected by disaster, so that they can accommodate them in their household as we wait for a better solution to the same.
I want to call upon through the Mzee wa Mitaa, who he has spoken near Joge, and also the area assistant chief, to make sure all the houses below this.
And with that, it is time for us to take a short break. Keep your feedback streaming into social media platforms at GBS TV Africa. The SMS line is always 21144. We'll be right back.
At Waredi Utawala School, when I grow up, I like to be a supermodel, a doctor, a dermatologist, so that I can advise little children to deal better with their skin problems.
When was the first time ulianza sasa when was the first time you got your first title? Do you prefer painting, drawing, or playing outside?
Drawing.
Drawing. Oh, you also like to draw?
Dear future Aurelie, I'm advising you that to do better on your exams, to care for people, to care about yourself, and do good things. And if you have an opportunity, do it. Any opportunity, even if it's from modeling, dancing, singing, anything. My name is Aurelie Nyanchama.
Man can only have dominion once he has the image of God. Man can only have dominion once the image of God is dwelling in him. So in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 45, is talking about the living spirit. Man became a living spirit. How did he become a living spirit? So when we think about this part, there is man that was formed out of the dust of the ground. But this man received the breath of God. And in that breath of God, there was a nature of God.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back to the bulletin. And now, Kenya has significantly strengthened its insurance safety net, doubling compensation for policyholders to $500,000 shillings. The move is aimed at restoring public confidence and cautioning victims in the wake of insurer collapses. The Policyholders Compensation Fund, PCF, says the previous limit set at 250,000 shillings in 2017 and 100,000 shillings in 2020 since been taken by time. The funds, which steps in when insurance companies fail, reveals it handled more than 206 litigation cases over the past year. Nearly 70% of the claimants were third-party victims, underscoring the wider economic impact of collapsing insurers.
And it has continued to grow steadily from the initial seed capital of 35 billion that was put in by the National Treasury up to the current fund value, which is about 38 billion. The compensation of policyholders has been a bit slow, but I must commend the PCF for the work that they have done in the recent past. I know the demands that we've placed on them has been quite huge, but I must say that they have acted quite well and responded to the call of policyholders. The new limit is grounded in actual evidence and aims to provide meaningful relief to affected policy holders during difficult transitions. Extensive discussions with the National Treasury informed this reform, which address social, macroeconomics, and macroeconomic factors. The increase is expected to raise the fund coverage from about 30 to 60% of average claim value.
A massive traffic snarl brought movement to a complete halt along Mombasa Road on Tuesday, leaving motorists stranded for hours between Emali and Salama. The gridlock is believed to have been triggered by a Monday night accident involving two trailers that partially blocked the highway before overlapping vehicles worsened the situation, causing a complete shutdown in some sections.
Niko hapa kuanzia saa 3 ya asubuhi mpaka saa hizi, na hii jam nasikia ilianza jana usiku. Sawa, kwa hivyo serikali ishughulike na hii barabara.
Shida imetokea kwa muda, si kwa leo. Kila siku tunang'ang'ana na hii serikali. Tunaomba kila siku serikali tuwekee barabara nyingine.
Nimetoka UG naenda mpeleka mananasi Mombasa. Nilikuwa natarajia kufika Mombasa kitu saa 10 jioni hapo ama saa 10 saa 11 hapo.
Toka bana kula tujakula barabara nzima hii. Watupanulie mabarabara bana.
Kenya and China are strengthening bilateral ties with a renewed focus on trade, infrastructure, and innovation, following high-level talks between President William Ruto and Chinese Vice President Han Zheng at State House, Nairobi, where 4 key agreements were signed, including a framework to allow Kenyan exports duty-free, quota-free access to the Chinese market starting May, alongside commitments to expand major infrastructure projects such as the standard gauge railway extension and the Rironi-Mau Summit Highway.
Mr. Vice President, your visit to Kenya is significant because it is the subsequent visit to my visit in April last year to China, where we had very fruitful consultations and outcomes both for China and Kenya. The most significant being the request of Kenya to the Chinese government to facilitate a trade agreement that would get Kenyan goods to the Chinese market. Something that has been in discussion for a long time and for which I am truly grateful to President Xi for making it possible for Kenya to export its tea, its coffee, macadamia, avocados, and many other products to China. And that we will be signing off that agreement is a big step for the Kenyan people and the Kenyan government.
And now for sports lovers, it's time for your most anticipated part of the bulletin, the sports news. Let's get sporty. And we begin the sports news, and now to a very interesting story. The rivalry between Majembe and Mbavu the Destroyer has escalated ahead of their Vurugu fight on April 4th, 2026. Following a chaotic face-off organized by Oga Obina, Mbavu's aggressive outburst required security intervention while Majembe stayed calm, intensifying the psychological battle. With high stakes including a car from Odibets, 1 million Kenyan shilling prize money, and support pledged by William Ruto. The battle has grown beyond social media hype into a major showdown, pitting Mbavu's raw street style against Majembe's more structured training. And moving forward, Kenya's junior starlets are intensifying preparations at the Moi International Sports Center, Kasarani, ahead of their FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup qualifier against Namibia, amid a major squad transition with new players stepping up to replace those promoted to the Under-20 team. Coach Mildred Cheche is focusing on building cohesion, fitness, and technical discipline. Despite facing an unfamiliar opponent, the team remains confident, motivated, and determined to make history.
First of all, mi na thank to God juu si rahisi kufika hapa national team na hii ni second round. Tumejipanga, mazoezi yako tu poa, tunajua Namibia pia wana train hard, wanaomba Mungu, but pia si tuna train hard na tunaomba Mungu. Si rahisi, but tutajikaza sahi hadi tufike World Cup. We have a young squad, a new one, because most of our players transitioned to the under-20. So we selected a young team from various parts of the country. Against Namibia, we've not played them before, so this is the first time. We don't know their playing style, so we are preparing ourselves for how best we know we can do, and then we see how it goes, because it's one game at a time.
Kenya national football team have arrived in Kigali for the FIFA Series 2026 with head coach Benini McCarthy leading a 23-man squad blending experience and new talent, including returning wingback Clark Odor. The team quickly began intensive training at Amahoro Stadium, focusing on tactical discipline and finishing as they aim to bounce back from a heavy defeat to Senegal national football team. Kenya will open their campaign against Estonia before facing either Rwanda or Grenada, with the goal of restoring confidence and building momentum towards AFCON 2027. The final stage of World Cup qualifying begins with 22 nations fighting for the last spots in North America, marking a tense win or go home moment. In Europe, Italy faced Northern Ireland in a crucial playoff, while other high-stake clashes include Wales versus Bosnia and Ukraine versus Sweden. Meanwhile, the new intercontinental playoff in Mexico will see teams like Jamaica, DR Congo, Bolivia, and Iraq battling for the final tickets, with the full 48-team World Cup lineup set to be continued within days. Arsenal women took control of the UEFA Women's Champions League quarter-final with a 3-1 fight leg win over Chelsea women at the Emirates. Stina opened their scoring with a header before Chloe Kelly doubled the lead with a stunning long-range strike. Lauren James pulled one back for Chelsea with a moment of brilliance, but Alasia sealed the win with a composed finish, giving Arsenal a strong advantage heading into the second leg. And with that, we have come to the end of the news bulletin. It's always a pleasure having you on board. My name is Susan Nganga, and our sign language interpreter tonight has been Francis Okinyi. Have a good night.